devices. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Montclair State University's Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Willard Gingrich.
Good evening. On behalf of President Susan Cole, the John J. Calley School of Music, and all of the Montclair State University family, I want to welcome you all, the entire Jazz House Kids family, to Montclair State and to this magnificent and intimate theater, which I hope you all will come back and attend for the many events, the many musical events that we present here. We're very proud of the John J. Calley School here at Montclair, where we have graduate and undergraduate programs in performance, in music education, and music therapy. But we're especially proud of our relationship with Jazz House Kids, which now goes back for a number of years, and we're most delighted to be the host for you in this wonderful event which you've planned this evening. And we look forward again for, I believe, the fourth year to host again the summer camp for Jazz House Kids. So welcome. This is your home. We hope you'll come back many times. Have a great evening.
What is Jazz House Kids?
Jazz House Kids is music.
Jazz House Kids is mentoring.
Jazz House Kids is education.
Jazz House Kids is
apprenticeship.
Jazz House Kids students come from all backgrounds and communities, but one thing they have in common is their love of music. Our mission aims to bridge the gap in the arts by making sure that every child has access to world-class music education and performance opportunities. Jazz House Kids' work focuses on three key areas: in the schools, at the Jazz House, and in the community.
People from all walks of life, they're here, they're enjoying themselves, and they're coming together on one thing, this music. That's why it's important for us to have this festival.
During the past 15 years, Jazz House Kids has served more than 45,000 students and performed before more than 500,000 people. We bridge the gap in the schools. Every day, you can find Jazz House Kids in classrooms in underserved school districts.
I have one student who his excitement about playing trumpet with Jazz House Kids was the incentive for getting work accomplished.
We use jazz as an important and exciting teaching tool to develop musicianship, spark creativity, and foster life skills.
Jazz music has made me realize what I can do.
National studies show that where students are enrolled in music education, high school graduation rates rise.
I hope music takes me to a college, maybe even a life career.
At the Jazz House, 100% of our students not only graduate high school, but continue on to college. For some of our students, they are the first in their family to attend college.
To be the first person to attend college in my family is kind of exciting. I feel like I'm making my parents proud. Just proving that, my family has what it takes to be college bound, so it's kind of awesome.
In the past 3 years alone, our graduates have received more than $1 million in scholarships and have become some of the nation's top young musicians. We're in the community, creating tomorrow's cultural leaders and global citizens.
We're really excited to go out there and do our best.
Jazz, woven into American history and shared with the world, is a universal language that knows no boundaries. Whether it's our no tickets required Montclair Jazz Festival, or reaching a global audience with a cultural exchange program in Peru sponsored by the U.S. Embassy, we uplift and unite people with this great music.
Celebrando el mes de jazz.
Jazz House Kids believes all students deserve access to a world-class education and its life-changing benefits, no matter what their family circumstances or what school they attend. I encourage you to become a champion for music education. The Jazz House Kids Music and Education Fund ensures that all young people can participate in a world-class music education. Whether it's adopting a school for year-round programming or offering tuition assistance for our families who need that little bit of extra help, or providing an after-school safe haven for young people, or a private lesson for a student trying to catch up to their bandmate, or even an instrument for a student sitting on the sidelines, your support makes a critical difference.
Jazz House Kids motivated me and inspired me to keep striving for my dreams.
The Jazz House Music and Education Fund helps us do all this and so much more. Music, mentoring, education, and apprenticeship. When you build a jazz house, you build a child's future.
Ladies and gentlemen, the president and founder of Jazz House Kids, Melissa Walker.
Oh, good evening. Wow, the screen got bigger this year. Thank you so very much. Can I thank John Warner for putting that together for us? It is so humbling for someone who started Jazz House Kids in my one-bedroom apartment. And day after day, I did this thing called Jazz House Kids, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I just kind of kept putting one foot over in front of another. And to see that, to know that we've gone even around the world to Peru and back, it's just humbling. And to share that with you at our 9th annual Inside the Jazz Note, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Not quite double digits, but we're getting there. So, tonight's guest, the one and only cultural icon, Wynton Marsalis, will be joining us this evening. To have him in the house is truly a pleasure and an inspiration for all of us. It will be a tremendous evening. And making it possible, I am going to tell you, it is my hubby, the wonderful pleasure of having the most wonderful husband, the wonderful Mr. Christian McBride. I want to thank Provost Gingrich for coming out and talking to us. It is important that we are on this campus because for the Jazz House, music is a part of what we do every single day, but it's also a vehicle and it's a tool that we use to help foster young people's future. And so to come on a campus, we've hired Montclair State University students. We have a number of our faculty here. We have a number of our students here. We host our summer jazz workshop here. So together, and our great friends, the late John Callie and Rose Callie have been tremendous friends. And so it is a great pleasure that we're in this wonderful theater. So I just want to thank Montclair State University. I know you know this, but this night is only possible with a lot of help. And so I just want to say a few thank yous that make this evening possible to be here. And of course, the first is TD Bank, coming back as our title sponsor of this evening. We thank you. Again, I'm just so impressed. We thank TD Bank for coming in as our title sponsor. But this year, we are also joined, or TD is joined by 3 co-chairs. This is the first time that we've had this. And we want to thank 2 longtime supporters and friends who came to support Inside the Jazz Note way back when Pat Metheny came to join us. And so I want to say thank you to Manhattan Mechanical Contractors, and Neil Lazar, somewhere right there. Cool Wind Ventilation and Dominic Grosso. And this year they got their friend from JT Megan, so these are all of people across the Hudson, and we want to thank you so much for coming in. Thank you, and thank you. And you see others that have come in, and we want to thank them as well for joining us and being a part of this evening. There are a number of supporters that have come on. You know that tonight is our night to launch the Jazz House Music and Education Fund and our additional sponsors and supporters. I know many of you are sitting here and others. I just want to thank you so very much for all you do. If that's not impressive, please a round of applause. Keep your hands together as we bring out the wonderful Nick Maselli, the market president for TD Bank, our board member. He does a great deal for arts in New Jersey. He's delightful. You don't want to be in front of that sign? No, you don't want to be there.
You're blocking the TD Bank.
Oh,
you can't block the TD Bank.
I did ask you to bring the cube. I did. You didn't bring the
You're right.
cube. Can we get that together next time?
We're ready.
All right.
So, as you know, I work for TD Bank, America's most convenient bank. And
I'm here to vouch for that.
And, you know, I come from a highly regulated industry. And we're not allowed, we got to stick to the rules. So one of the things I like about jazz is the improvisation. And I was all excited to come and speak to you. And then I got here and I was given sheet music. and read this. But as I read it, it was clear that this is the mission, and I'm happy to share this with you. So I was going to tell you all about how it takes a village to raise a child, and we are all villagers here, and to create great jazz and to create the children of tomorrow that become the young adults. We can't do that without great villagers, and so thank you for being a great villager. All right. So now we'll see how my sight reading is after all these years. Clearly, we are happy to be the chairs and the event chair for tonight's Inside the Jazz Note, and to serve on Jazz House Board of Directors. It's been 3 years, and it's been really wonderful. It also gives me great pleasure to kick off the official Jazz House Music and Education Fund, and we're doing it right here tonight. So thank you for helping us do that. This fund is going to help Jazz House kids address the crisis in arts education today by bridging that gap, right? Becoming those villagers, providing access for underserved schools and families in need so that no child is left behind sitting on the sidelines. The fund is also going to allow us to place vital music education and programs in school districts where they are most needed, right here in New Jersey. It also provides tuition assistance and overnight housing needs to meet those struggling families for our Jazz House seminar and workshop this summer, which is a year-round ensemble that you'll hear later today. It also I was going to do a Letterman thing and flip them out.
Yeah.
Expand our mentoring programs at the Jazz House, such as our highly sought-after Chica Power, which is just spectacular.
Chica Power.
How many young ladies do we have in Chica Power?
We had 47.
47
from 21 different communities for a 5-week free program of peer mentoring, peer-to-peer, and mentoring with other wonderful jazz female musicians.
Bigger and better every year. Also, our Rise and Improvise and our Jazz House Kids Go to College program, which we're really proud about. And as you hear the stories of these children as they talk about, they're young adults now, and they talk about how they're going to college and they never dreamed of going to college, but Jazz House Kids has helped pave the way and show them that college is actually something that they can make a part of their lives. And it's because of what you've done, so it's wonderful. Jazz House Kids does much more than just teach musicians. They build an artistic edge. So I encourage all of you to join me investing in the future of this organization. You'll notice in your pamphlets a handy card. Can you all pull out this card?
Help us launch it. The
We're
Jazz House
launching-
Music and Education Fund. We are launching it tonight.
We are right here, and you can help us do that.
That's right.
So please vote early and often, as we say in Hudson County. Fill out these cards, contribute. We're making a difference here, and every little bit helps. Now, also, there's a small little box in the middle that says, check this box if I'd like to learn more about our 15th anniversary. And we are about to engage on a very large fundraising campaign for our 15th anniversary. Here's our 14th year, And so please check that box also because we want to get in touch with you. And last but not least, we have a great cruise that I want to tell you about. North Star is one of our sponsors, and the great Dee Dee Bridgewater will be attending. And so finally, I think I'm done. So when we say, we're building a child's future. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. That's right. The reason it's so exciting about Dee Dee Bridgewater in the fall and the Jazz Cruise is Dee Dee Bridgewater, 3-time Grammy winner, Tony Award winner, will be our Montclair Jazz Festival closing act this summer. So we are thrilled that she will be coming. And in the fall, let's jump on that cruise and go along with it. So we want to thank North Star for the support and the donation for all those who join us. So without further ado, let me just bring out my husband. Let me bring out the wonderful Christian McBride to talk about Inside the Jazz Note. The great Christian McBride. Because what you may not know is that Inside the Jazz Note is also a masterclass. And so we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. And maybe you want to let people know, are we live?
I think you just told them that.
All right.
Hi out there in internet land. Everybody watching us from around the world, and China, and Peru, Edmonton.
Thank you.
Philadelphia, how you doing? And of course, hello to all of you out here in Montclair. Thanks for joining us this evening. Special thanks to Sandy Bondarowski and Remote Digital Media for handling all of the feed this evening, and so everyone can see us. How you doing?
All right.
So yeah, what about yesterday?
Well, let me just say you've been kind of busy. I think a new appointment as the artistic director of the Newport Jazz Festival. All right.
It's amazing what petty cash can get you in this business.
And your 5th Grammy, the first time ever that a bassist has been recognized for a solo.
More petty cash.
You know, as James Brown would say, one of the busiest men in show business. So I just thank you for coming in and everything you've done.
James Brown would never relinquish his title.
He would never relinquish it.
This ghost is going to show up tonight and scold you for even saying that. Son, I will always be the hardest working man in show business. I've been dead 10 years, and I'm still the hardest working man in show business. That's what he would say.
Well, I think many of you know that Christian spends his time playing music and putting it out through the world. But what I think maybe some of you don't know is that he gives an incredible amount of his time inspiring and mentoring young people, just as he was inspired and mentored by the greats that brought him along. And yesterday was just that kind of day where we had Inside the Jazz Note Masterclass. So Inside the Jazz Note is really a 2-day that is action-packed. And it is a free program where we invite schools from across New Jersey. Some of the students came as far as Camden. And they come in for a day of inspirational teaching, both for their big band and improvisation. And why don't you just tell us who our guests were yesterday?
Well, as you can see there on the screen, we were joined by Ms. Shami Royston, who's a wonderful educator, Mr. Freddie Hendricks, great trumpeter, our dear friend, Mr. Ron Blake, tenor saxophonist, and the amazing Mr. Chris Potter, who made his first visit out to Jazz House Kids. And needless to say, all of the students were so excited, and it was beautiful to see, they were really so scared, and their knees were saying, oh my God, Chris Potter's coming, oh my God. But it was a wonderful, wonderful day, and a full 6-hour day.
200 students. 200
students from, as you can see, the participating schools. And it was just a wonderful day of inspiration. And we all got to play together. It was sort of like an impromptu supergroup. We got together and had a jam. I don't think Ron and Chris Potter ever had a tenor battle before. So if If you smelled any smoke coming from the campus yesterday, it was those two guys just burning up. So it was a wonderful day.
And our three big bands were there, so they're not on the poster, but they were there in wonderful form. You know, I think it's time, I'd like to bring out Allison Russo and Nathan Eklund, because they are the reasons and that they put a lot of work and thoughtful work together to make that happen.
Yes.
This is our team that handles arts and education. Allison Russo does all of our in-school programming, our Chica Power. Nathan Eklund handles all of the school bands, 21 ensembles, 80 concerts a year comes in, so it's a pretty full plate. And so every year we do something called the Musician of Distinction. And so let's kick that off. All right. Was that me? I do. I want to talk about the award. It is an award that is made possible by R.S. Berkeley, and somewhere here, Les Silver, you are here, and I want to thank you. And it is given to a student. And this year, in fact, it's going to be given to 2 students that are in one of our programs, either at the Jazz House or in public schools. And these students are dedicated, committed, they are strong leaders, but they could use that extra push that you would get when you have a wonderful, incredible instrument. And so it is with great pleasure today that we are going to celebrate, and it is a surprise, these 2 students. But we're going to start with Allison. Tell us the first student.
So I am more than thrilled to present the first Musician of Distinction Award to an 8th grader at Abington Avenue School in, some of you already know, Abington Avenue School in Newark, which is a program where we bring musicians to bring a jazz ensemble there. Very great program. He's been a standout leader in that program, and he has been a standout leader in our programs at the Jazz House, where now he is playing in the Dynasty Big Band under the direction of Mike Lee. And in a nutshell, this student is the personification of hard work and dedication and what can happen when you work hard and learn through music. He really is a great example of how the magic of Jazz House Kids. So I am very happy to present this award and a brand new trombone.
So let's bring out R.S. Berkeley. Wow.
And a brand new trombone to Rainer Perez.
Yeah. All right, Rainer. Come on out.
Oh, Rainer.
Congratulations. We'll see you in class next week. All right.
Nathan, who's next, sir?
Yes.
All right, so our second honoree is a longtime member of Jazz House Kids. This is someone that I've actually really formed a very personal relationship with over the past few months, because he's kind of been a mainstay in the Jazz House. Kind of keeps showing up every free moment that he has to see if he can use our studio rooms to practice. And every time that he comes, he's got a specific question for me about harmony, about tunes, and each one seems to like build on the next one. So I can tell he's always been listening to the stuff that we talked about and then kind of moving forward with it. So this student is he's participated this year in our Legacy Orchestra and our Blues and Roots class with Camille Thurman as the instructor, which is very fitting, as she is a tenor player, and he is as well. He's graduating from Montclair High School. He's going to be heading to William Patterson in the fall, and it is a great honor to award our second Musician of Distinction to Xavier Kuzin.
All right, so let's bring out R.S. Berkeley. What does that mean to you?
Personally, like, thank you so much, Miss Melissa, Christian, Nathan, Allison, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Like, I can't even explain like how happy I am. Like.
That's all right. We got it. We love you at the Jazz House. Thank you. Absolutely. We're going to be watching him. We'll be seeing him back many times. Xavier, wonderful. Wonderful.
Congratulations, guys. One of the great legends of this music that we miss dearly, although his legacy still lives strong, is the late, great James Moody. And James Moody was quite the ambassador for this music for many years, he and his dear friend, the great Dizzy Gillespie. And we've been quite honored here at Jazz House Kids to have the presence and the support of Mr. James Moody's wife, Linda Moody. She has been a major part of Jazz House Kids over the last couple of years now, and she helped to create the James Moody Scholarship Fund. And so we would like to invite to the stage right now, if you would give her a huge round of applause, Ms. Linda Moody. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Christian.
And it was such an honor that you would place this award with Jazz House Kids to help identify a student and to have the New Jersey Community Foundation, and they are here as well, to recognize strong talent. So really just heartfelt. And thanks for flying across the country to come again.
It's my pleasure. It gets boring living in paradise. You know that?
What, this isn't paradise?
I have to put my glasses. I'm honored to be affiliated with Jazz House Kids. The Moody Scholarship Award is awarded to an outstanding high school senior who embodies the qualities of my husband, NEA Jazz Master James Moody, expressed through his life and his music, and he was all about education for children. The scholarship seeks to foster the qualities of musicianship, creativity, leadership, and community involvement. It's been 5.5 years since Moody transitioned. He would be so proud that tonight we are naming our second Moody Scholar. So our first Moody Scholar is in the audience, I think. Fierce, are you here? Yeah. So anyway.
Fierce is here.
I want to thank my partners in this endeavor because it's been quite a journey. We started the scholarship in 2009, and I want to thank Jazz House Kids so much. Glad we had dinner, Melissa. I want to thank the Community Foundation of New Jersey, Faith and Susan. They're the ones that really administer the foundation, so I don't have to touch any money. And it works out beautifully. They're a wonderful partner. And I want to thank our new partner, Ron Fragner and Les Silver of R.S. Berkeley Musical Instruments, who are they're going to provide a new instrument for our second Moody Scholar. So I want to thank the esteemed panel of judges also. Christian is one. Todd Kuhlman and Rini Rosnes, who were affiliated with my husband for 20 and 26 years, respectively. And also Nathan Eklund from Jazz House Kids. And the other thing about this year is that we opened it to children from many, many high schools around New Jersey, which was really wonderful. We wanted it to be an all-inclusive kind of thing. So it's amazing how many people actually filled out the paperwork this year and sent it in, and we're so grateful, and hopefully there will be more next year. So, to introduce our second Moody Scholar. It's exciting.
Drum roll, please.
I'll take that from you.
No.
Oh, you're not done yet. Sorry.
Oh. Take this.
Thank you.
Oh.
No, take this.
He's a senior at Morris Mendham High School. He's been playing with Jazz House Kids for 2 years, adding his unique style of playing and pizzazz to the Jazz House Big Band and Organ Messengers. This year he's playing lead trumpet in the Jazz House Big Band. He'll be pursuing a degree in jazz studies at New Jersey City University, beginning in the fall of 2016. So the new second Moody Scholar for 2016 is Andrew Wagner. And we're giving Andrew a new flugelhorn. Congratulations on being a Moody Scholar.
Turn that around, show everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Let's see this horn. Look at that. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. And come on out. Claudia, do you have something for Linda? Oh. Just you will be hearing Claudia later. All right. I think I'm going to leave it with you. All right.
Thank you to everyone, and congratulations to all our winners tonight. May you have a wonderful, wonderful career in music. And they are on their way to becoming very wonderful contributors to the society by being involved in music. Now, about our guest, who you all came to see and who we're so excited to have with us this evening. This is going to be quite an evening of conversation, because out of the guests that we have had here at Inside the Jazz Note, I can probably say I've known him the longest. We met almost 30 years ago to the day. I was 14, he was 25. Sorry to give away his age, but I don't think he cares. And since that time in 1986, he has gone on to do such wonderful things that have transcended music. He's just become a cultural icon. And we're going to show you a very, very quick video of who Wynton Marsalis is. Yeah, actually, I shouldn't lie to you. Wynton's actually not here. He just sent that video because no, I'm just joking. But to pay tribute to Wynton Marsalis, we would like to invite to the stage the Jazz House Big Band led by Mr. Julius Tolentino, and they're going to get the evening started. Julius Tolentino, Jazz House Big Band. Julius Tolentino and the Jazz House Big Band. You guys sound amazing. Oh, hey, there's a bass. Is that for me? Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me such pleasure to bring to the stage my friend, your friend, one of the great ones, Mr. Wynton Marsalis. That's right. So, Mr. Marsalis, happy 30th anniversary. Wait, you need to get this man a microphone.
Don't worry about it. I'm talking to you.
You're talking to here? Okay. What do you think of the kids?
I love them. I love the way they play. I love them. I like their lime green. I love their ties. I see Wes up here. I love him. Congratulations on your award, son. Congratulations. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to hear them. They represent the music. I'm proud of them to hear them. Nothing but love and deepest feeling. That's all. Thank you.
You know, I'm going to wait till we actually get into our real deep conversation, but I have some great memories of a band similar to this that you ran, the Duke Ellington Youth Orchestra, and a lot of guys that are in your band were in that band. And we were all 14, 15, 16 years old then, Walter Blanding Jr. and Fareed Barron and myself and Little John Roberts, who Jason Golly. Yeah. John Roberts went on to play with Janet Jackson.
He's playing with Stevie. He's on the last tour that Stevie was on.
That's right.
Little John, I see him all the time.
Yeah.
I'm getting old, man.
No. Not getting old, you're getting wiser.
I don't think so.
So, how about we play a little bit? Can we do that?
Sure.
Mr. Wynton Marsalis, ladies and gentlemen. Wynton Marsalis, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir.
Man, thank you.
What is this thing called love? Can you answer that?
Well, I think for me, at my age now, I'm 54, and when I look at you, just the feeling in your playing, and I can think back to when you were 14, you know, when I first heard you, and I called my daddy. I said, man, you're not going to believe this little dude in Philly. Because in New Orleans, we never had bass players. So my father would always say, man, if I could just get a bass player. You know, then everybody was playing electric. This is the 1970s. I said, man, I heard a dude that, and I started talking about your piano playing too.
Oh, boy.
And I remember how excited my father was. So for me, all these years later, you know, to see the kids playing and see what you all are doing, what Melissa is doing, what Julius is doing. I remember him when he was a student.
That's right.
And I mean, what can I say about it? You know, I'm sitting up here, I'm playing with you, and the type of maturity that you play with, and the way all the things you're doing, hosting a radio show, being the artistic director at Newport. I mean, I'm just proud. I wish I played with you more.
Well,
you know, so
I wish that could happen too, man.
I'm proud.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of these youngsters because even though, you know, I'm out here, but I still always represent the musicians I grew up with, and it wasn't a lot of them who were interested in playing. Like my father always struggled. At one point, my father's class went down to one person. Wow. This was in 1982. It's a free public school in New Orleans. He called me and said, man, I'm down to one student. And that was Kid Jordan's son, Marlon. So it's like we're all in the family.
Right,
that was like one of our cousins or something was in his class.
Wow.
So I don't take it for granted.
Was that at Noka?
It was at Noka. One jazz student.
Wow.
And that was like right after my brother and Terrence and Don, all of us had I don't take it for granted to see a group of youngsters well-dressed playing. I went to thousands and thousands of schools across the United States and heard our kids play so sad for so long. Get to hear them, and I say it with love because we were sad too.
Hey,
it's just how that was. So now these years later to hear, I used to always have a cliche I would say in the 80s when people would ask me, well, you know, what do you want to see? You going to these schools? I say, I just beg the Lord before I die that I can go across the country and hear people who can play. But I was just saying it as something that was so abstract and no chance of it ever happening. I'm being serious now, you know, I'm not joking. I know we have, but now you get to a certain age, you know, you're talking to people, a lot of us, 1961, 62, we know we have the same kind of issues we deal with. So, you know it's true. And you don't realize it till you get to that point. Because when you're young, you're not thinking, I was 19 for about 20 years. So, you know, I feel like a sense of pride. It's holistic. So I sit up here with these youngsters. I see them playing. I hear them. I see you. I mean, what can I say? I get full. Man, I want to stop judging the competition because I start crying when I hear people play. And I don't want them to think I'm soft. But it's just the music is so serious and so much goes into it, you know?
Well, you know, I want to ask you, when I think about when you were young and you talked about your peers, Terrence Blanchard, Donald Harrison, your brother Branford, of course, and Delphio, how did all this greatness come out of New Orleans right at the same time? What was happening there at that time?
That was my daddy.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them didn't want to play jazz. I was telling Andre that I can remember being in, my daddy could not get from there to the blackboard before they would start playing funk tunes.
Right.
We all played in funk bands.
Well,
I played in a funk band.
For somebody your age, that would have been the greatest gig you could have hoped to get would be with Earth, Wind & Fire, because they had the best horn parts.
The best horn parts, that's right. We would stay up learning those horn parts. So my daddy would be talking about now's the time or bebop, and we're like, man, this stuff is hard to play. We could play these pentatonic skills on this.
That's right.
We don't have to do all of that. And we got our dance steps, and we got our afros, and we cute. Back in that time, why am I sit up and learn how to play on chord changes when our music don't even have progressions?
Right.
And you know, the musicians were not really that serious, even though, you know, Terrence and yes went on, we became serious. But I can remember in high school, I was really the most serious one. And I'm not saying it because I'm talking. I was about trying to learn how to play. Not for any philosophical reason. I just wondered if you could still play.
Right.
You know, I listened to Clifford Brown and I said, man, why do people not play like this guy plays?
Right.
It seems so far, so long ago. Even though it's 1974, that seemed like 200 years from 1956.
Right.
because we had passed through the civil rights movement and all of that. And I think really my father, Kid Jordan, Alvin Batiste, it was an older generation of musicians who had struggled and who were disappointed in how stuff had turned out. But they invested in us. So it wasn't only my father. It was like a group of older musicians.
But now, that's interesting you said it. You listen to Clifford Brown, Clifford Brown with strings, something like that. Or Clifford Brown's final recordings from 1956. 1956 to 1974, that's not even 20 years.
But if you lived in 1974, if you were 14 in 1974, it seemed like that was 1856. Because a lot of stuff happened between 56 and 70.
Yes, it did.
So the whole world was different.
So what do you think of that same 14-year span between 1998 and 2016?
We haven't had that type of change. We've been on a steady kind of decline. We haven't had the type of social change. We have the trappings of everything without the substance of it, like our music. It seems like it's something, but it's nothing. I always tell them the trick, a lot of times, with the direction we've gone in as a country, it's like what happened with our financial instruments, like credit defaults, swaps. How can you sell something that seems like it's something, but it's nothing? And it's not as easy as you think. It's easy to make something that's nothing be nothing. It's hard to make that nothing be something. And if you look at all of the whole kind of way that the loans were bunched up, if you just kind of study that, that's like a kind of classic. Or you look at a lot of the campaigns that go on, or you look at candidates now have marketing teams. Like they don't have people who know about selling stuff. All the money goes into the packaging and nothing goes into the food. Well, our music is different. It requires that you learn how to play. And it requires that you be engaged with other people. And it's a foreign concept. So we haven't had the type of change. And you got to also remember that the leaders that we killed in the 60s affected us. We think we can kill people and we go on from it, everything is okay. But we don't think if an athlete gets injured, the team is going to win. We see Steph Curry gets injured, we don't think, man, Golden State's still going to win this championship.
That's right.
But we think Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, we think we just get these leaders over and over, and we don't get them.
That's right.
Yeah, so we killed some leaders who would have been instrumental in taking us to a much higher level in the ensuing generations. And those voices were not there.
We're going to get to some more of that a little later. And I think that your narrative and the way that you play proves the fact that you were the hardest working out of those young cats that you were talking about when you guys were coming up. Your artistry and your scholarly level speaks for itself. So it's a pleasure to have you here. Now, are we going to play another duet? No, we're going to turn it over to the big band. See, our director's back there, so, I got to look to her and find out what I'm doing. So, one more time, Mr. Julius Tolentino and the Jazz House Big Band. goodness. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Wow. Congratulations. That was mean. Oh my goodness. Mr. Marsalis, one more time, Wynton Marsalis, ladies and gentlemen. Wynton, would you say a few words about the legacy of Duke Ellington? Because I know Mr. Ellington means a lot to all of us, but especially to you.
Well, I think he's the American bard, like Shakespeare.
Yep.
He was recognized as that by all of his contemporaries. And people, it didn't matter what strata of American music they came from, or entertainment industry. Through the 20s and 30s and 40s, by the time you got into the 60s, people had such veneration and love for Duke around the world. His body of work spoke for itself, 800 albums. And each one is better than the last one.
Yeah.
50 years of uninterrupted development, over 2,000 compositions, 50 years on the road, the level of sustained excellence and dedication. Just to hear our young people playing his music. I mean, we didn't even, when I was in high school, we couldn't even get a big band together. So just to hear all these fabulous musicians, I heard my low bass trombone on there.
That's right.
Speaking very clearly. All the soloists playing with vocabulary, great alto, fantastic vocabulary, great piano, drums, bass, everybody. I mean, when you start to get things, it's easy to take them for granted. So if Duke could have heard this, he'd lost his mind.
I know how important repertoire is to you, and when you decide that you want to become a jazz musician, one of the biggest challenges you have as a musician is learning repertoire. You think about the body of work Duke Ellington left, and all of the music from the Great American Songbook, your Jerome Kerns, your Cole Porters, your Irving Berlins, your Jimmy Van Heusens. I know that's also very important to you, teaching young musicians to get their repertoire together.
Well, if you don't, civilization is an effort. That's first.
Right.
So if you don't understand the meaning of things that represent you, if you don't teach that to your younger people, they won't know. Yeah. And that meaning is contained in your documents. Like if you have a library, okay, the library means more than just word of mouth.
Right.
And those who understood about the written word proved that when they encountered those who didn't understand about it. And now we have such a diaspora of information in the world, and we have such a dispersal of information. It's important to have accurate information, right, and to know not just, we're talking about in jazz, American folk music. I find to create jazz musicians, you got to come from some source. American folk music, gospel, blues. You have to have something in the soil, some type of vernacular music. And when you go to schools to study and to learn things, there's no way for you to come to a school, I'm going to teach you how to be you. I can teach you a body of information that has been deemed important by someone, and make you believe that that information is important. And as I can convince you that that information is important, it becomes important. If I can't teach you this, it's important, well.
Now, I wonder if you may or may not agree with, there seems to be a fad in jazz right now, at least I find that with a lot of modern jazz that is made by musicians in their late teens through their 20s, that it doesn't seem to be very rooted in the blues, gospel, or things that come from that that soil, as you put it.
Well, that was our generation too. To me, we've been sad for a long time.
But at least you have funk, which kind of comes from. You're right.
But I feel like it's a reason when we listen to the records. I never took it for granted that just because Clifford Brown and them came from another era, they should necessarily be that much better than us.
Right.
Like I don't believe that. Okay, you have Louis Armstrong. What kind of geniuses did emerge in music? But the thing about jazz is a person can exhibit a genius in jazz music without having to orchestrate like Bach or Beethoven.
Right.
And believe me, that orchestration knocked a whole pile of really great German musicians out. They could play great piano and they could sing great. Boy, you can, right, for orchestra. Okay, that's a lot of skill they have. So our music made it possible for a person to develop personality on an instrument and speak in their voice and record and touch people with their sound. And because of the immediacy of improvisation, they could speak to you in a conversation way much like the way you and I are speaking. Right. This is a great innovation. So I think that we have let that down, but I don't equate it just with jazz. I think of what the
Culture in
possibility
general.
of America is in general.
Right.
And when we realize that we are letting it down, and I don't start with younger people. It's my fault. When my kids are ignorant of stuff, I didn't teach them.
Right.
And it is my fault. I don't feel that we knew, and I don't feel that we inhabited the democracy the way we should have. But once again, I tie it to the dearth of leadership. But I take responsibility for the younger people, the fact that they don't know that the music is important, or that American folk music is important, or the things that their parents did it was important. But it's all tied to like the generation gap and selling stuff to younger people, exploiting their sexuality. You can't have everything. Like if they're a market to you, 11-year-old, 12-year-old is a market, and you have products you want to sell to them, and you're going to stand by and watch people market these products to them, and you're not going to mount a campaign against them and be forceful about it, unless you're afraid you're going to be a nerd or you're going to be behind the times and all kinds of stuff.
Then you're guilty.
You're going to get what you get from your young people. The young people I have found, and I've taught so many of our kids for so long with so much love and belief in them, because that's what my daddy had, that I never blame the kids. Even I get my college students sometimes, they sit in my house and they'll be disrespectful to me. I start laughing. I say, I'm just a man whose house you in. You don't have to be disrespectful of me. Call your mom and your daddy and do that to them. I got my own disrespectful kids. You don't have to. Because when you leave it, you're not going to hurt me. You're going to go home. I'm not going to think about this.
Right.
And if you keep it up, I'm going to treat you like I'm a man whose house you in. But it's just a matter of, things will go in cycles. But I very seldom do I blame them. Almost.
They got to learn from somebody.
We need to, and I just feel like we need a national tightening up. We'll do that. I hope I'm still alive to catch a little piece of it.
Well, it begins with number one, and you've been doing that. You got to set the example. And you've been setting the example, and many of us are trying to do the same thing.
You do, and I set some bad examples, some stuff I thought when I was younger, like kind of divisive where I was. When you get older, you change. Like you can't be the same. You can't say the same thing at 50-something that you said when you were 23.
20-something, right.
So, I try to adapt and try to change and try to be more accepting. But we also have to have standards, and we have to insist on a certain standard with our young people, not just in music, just with manners. Let's just start with that.
In a manner of speaking of standards, why don't we play one right now?
I want to do that.
Wynton Marsalis, ladies and gentlemen. Marsalis, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we need some valve oil? You don't need no valve oil. After all that horn you played? My goodness. Now, as you can see, we have some chairs coming out here because we're about to really get into some real heavy conversation.
Oh, and water, too.
They dig that. Can we head down there now? All right. Let's take our seats. Now, just so you know, Wynton and I are going to play with the band in a few. You feel like talking about this? About what the procedure you just had?
No.
Ah, boy. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not shy about it. I just had surgery on my eyes, so I'm kind of, I can see, but.
Yeah, we don't want them to blow too hard and, you know, something run afoul.
Yes. I'm okay, though. I'm all right.
Wynton, I would just, one thing I've always wanted to talk to you about, one thing we've never really had a chance to talk about is that you think about the great small groups in the history of jazz. You think about Charlie Parker's group. You think about the various Miles Davis groups. You had one of the most seminal bands in the history of jazz. Your band with your brother Branford, the late great Kenny Kirkland on piano, Shawnette Moffett on bass, and Jeff Tain Watts on drums. That band was as important for me and all of my peers. That band was important to us as Charlie Parker's group. It really, really was. When Black Codes from the Underground hit in 1985, that was one of the most important records of our era. When that group was together, did you know how important you were?
No, not really. I mean, it wasn't together that long. And cats didn't, it was always hard. People didn't really believe in playing, you know. A lot of my early years was spent trying to convince the musicians of the value of playing. And even the way the band broke up, you know, musicians my brother went to play with Sting, Kenny Kirkland went, Tain, you know, we didn't have a lot of musicians who believed in playing. You know, they could play because they had unbelievable ability.
Did that band stay together even a year?
It was together we were together maybe 3 years. You know, off and on. The first gig they actually played was with Lou Soloff, a great trumpet player. That was a certain time. You know, I love Lou so much, all the trumpet players, I mean. But for me, the early years was a struggle because it was just a struggle to be serious and make the bandstand be serious. So I always came off like I was really, really serious, even though I would be clowning and playing around most of the time if I wasn't on the bandstand or acting crazy. The bandstand, so that group is not really for me in my memory, it was short.
Yeah.
You know, so as I loved everybody, Tain and Kenny Kirkland, we were like brothers. My brother is my brother. So,
right.
You know, it was very familial.
Yeah.
And with Charnette, he was younger than the rest of us, and we loved him because he had so much energy, man.
Right.
Charnette just brought so much, and he was 16 playing with us, and he was just, man, what could you say about the net man? He was a force of nature. He would get on the subway and start cussing people out. I mean, you had to always watch him. We'd be playing basketball or something, he'd get in a fight on the court. He was just a spark plug.
Right.
And
well, you know,
I didn't really know at that time. We didn't do enough records.
Yeah. You mentioned your dad, the great Ellis Marsalis, and how he took so many of you, you know, Bradford, Terrence Blanchard, Donald Harrison, and he helped to nurture you guys, Kid Jordan, Alvin Baptiste, and I know Al Hurt was a friend of the family and a mentor to you as well.
Well, Al Hurt, my father played in Al Hurt's band for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But in that year and a half, he gave me a trumpet for my 6th birthday. So, you know, when I was 15, we had a fundraiser for our school, the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. And Al Hurt came and played that. And not like I was in touch with him.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, of course, my father played with him, so you know how it is. We play with somebody. It's like their family. For some reason, when you when musicians play together or you spend a stint in somebody's band, you have a certain type of closeness that comes with the intimacy of playing. And he came back and he played Misty, and I played with him on that show. So I remember that. I played My Funny Valentine. So, I mean, of course I was sad as all get out, but I was out there playing. And yeah, you know, my father was frustrating. So I never want to give the impression that we were all sitting in school and we were paying attention and stuff. It was very much like, you know, this dude is teaching us as our father.
Yeah, right.
People didn't want to play, they wanted to play funk tunes. So, you know, it wasn't as much as I want to paint like a certain picture of it.
Right.
And, you know, our facilities would run down and we didn't really understand about the music. We didn't have a philosophical context to put anything in. And he was there. He was trying to teach us, you know, and he's very philosophical.
When did you decide you wanted to move to New York and go to Juilliard?
Well, my daddy always had wanted to go to New York. So he told me, man, you got, you know, try to go to New York or you will get stuck in New Orleans. And in New Orleans, I didn't like it because I didn't like all the racism. You know, I hated that. Like I grew up in it, and I grew up in segregation. I was in that first kind of group of people who integrated, had to always deal with fighting and being messed with all the time. I didn't like to be messed with or disrespected on any level.
Right.
A lot of times there would be teachers who would be disrespecting you, let alone the kids. It was not the kids' fault. They were ignorant. We were where we are, and we didn't look at it like somebody telling the story. If you tell a story, people think it's like a TV movie. If you live in it, it's just life.
Right.
And it's, you know, it's not like bells are ringing when you got to deal with whatever, because you had to deal with black kids too. You had to, you know, deal with it. Which, because I was really aggressive personality type kid, I didn't have that much problem fighting or dealing with my situation. But for me, the racism was harder to deal with coming from adults. You know, I once showed my son, we were talking, I said I had all my report cards from elementary school. I said, I'm gonna show you something. Let's look at all these report cards from third grade after Martin Luther King got killed. We integrated into a white school. Before, we only went to black. My parents grew up in segregation. So I want you to look at my report cards from fourth grade to third to seventh grade. I said, look at it. I said, what you notice? He says, one B on it. I said, you notice that? I said, you know why that B is always there in the fourth quarter? So that I'm not the one who gets the top academic award. Now, that B is always there in all the years. I said, look at it. I said, and it's petty. But it's like when you're a kid, petty things hit you. So I wanted to get out of New Orleans. Like the statue of Robert E. Lee always rankled.
Right.
Somebody else will go past it. My guys in my band, they didn't care. You know, it all goes with philosophical. When you're not a philosophical person, you just take stuff as it comes. You're not hit by stuff as much.
Right.
You're okay with it. Yeah, man, okay, let's play this gig, bro. Let's just, and it don't mean I didn't play gigs. I didn't have a good time. Yeah, I had a great time in Crescent City. I loved it. But it was just the disrespect was too much, man. Right. So I figured, man, I'm going to come to New York and it's going to be different. Then when I got to New York, I was like, well, it ain't really that different. It's just a different, it's a different vibe, but it's not, you know, I was living in Harlem. I never seen that many people on a corner. This is like 1979. I thought, man, it must be a fight. And I walked through it and it wasn't a fight. So I said,
they just out there hanging.
That's a lot of people to be hanging
around
Morningside Park, you know?
Right.
So just, if I start to recall things, I try to be more realistic about the past.
Yeah.
And I try to recall it, how it was to me at that time. Even though I was young and ignorant of the things, and I never try to apply my older wisdom to how I felt, even when it comes to my own ignorances and my own kind of reactive, because I find that you can improve much more as you grow older if you can cultivate a more realistic understanding of your past.
Yeah.
And that's something that also a nation has to do.
And so when you get to New York, you start at Juilliard, and then not too long after you start at Juilliard, you join Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers.
Well, I had a partner of mine who I met at Tanglewood. Before I came to New York, I went to Tanglewood because I was just trying to get out of my house. I said, if I can, the second I graduate, I'm leaving. So I went to Tanglewood. I spent kind of months there, and there were so many great students there. I'd never been around that many young people that serious. I was like, damn, boy, everybody can play. I had a great student who taught me a lot, was like maybe a year older than me. And I'm not saying it to be arrogant, because I know you have had this experience just because of the level of your playing when you were 14 or 15. You never really encountered nobody who could play like you. Like you couldn't have. Was nobody playing like you. So I had never really met a person 18 or 17 who could play like I could play. But when I got to Tanglewood, the first day I heard a person playing. So I went next door. I was like, man, you know, he said, yeah, I'm 18. I thought, damn. Man, I need to practice.
Who was it?
His name is Justin Coyne. We ended up not playing trumpet, but he was an unbelievable trumpet player. He taught me so much in that summer about how to play low notes and, technical things on my instrument and just learning music. Man, we play some long Wagner or some piece with 750 measures rest. I'd be counting.
Yeah, right.
I would look at him, and he looked at me one day at rehearsal and said, man, it's much easier to just learn the music.
You're right.
So it'd be like a lot of little things like that. And then we went to Juilliard together. So, and then there's a drummer named Akira Tana.
Oh, yeah.
Who Akira was at Tanglewood. He was 10 years older than me. So he said, I'm coming to New York, and I'm going to look for roommates. So if you got enough money to pay for rent, maybe me and you could come in together. So I had stayed up with a drummer named Dave Lee from New Orleans for a couple of months. Then Akira came, and we got this apartment on 99th Street. We used to sit up at 1 o'clock and look at Twilight Zone. An hour of Twilight Zone would come on, and we would sit up, and he would be making sushi. I'd never seen nobody eat raw fish. So I was like, man, you eat raw fish, you a barbarian, man. You can't. He was like, man, this is sushi. This has been around longer than the United States. So, he really gave me a lot of education. He had a lot of records. He was talking about Woody Shaw and all these records I had never heard because I was very much just out the funker. And he told me, if you're going to learn how to play, you got to get in Art Blakey's band. So I said, man, what? He said, you got to join Boo's band. He's the only band. He said, Horace is not working enough. Right. He said, and sad as you are, you got to, this is really the type of dialogue we'd have. But I'd be like, well, you sad too, man. You can't. He said, man, I'm not as sad as you. So, then he introduced me to James Williams. And I went down to McKell's where they were playing, and I went to play with Art Blakey. The first tune he called was Along Came Betty. Yeah. I never played on nothing that changed
with
keys.
Those kind of changes, right?
I played on funk, stuff with pentatonic 1970s sus chords. And he started, but I was so unused to playing on difficult material that I thought, I'm going to hear this.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I start playing chromatic fantasy, nothing. Man,
nothing
I was so lost. Oh, come on, man. You got to know what key you in.
You're right.
When it was so sad, I didn't want to stop playing because when you sound sad, the silence is sad. So you don't want it to be quiet. I'm just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, the silence sometimes accentuates your sadness.
Yeah, it accentuates your sadness. So the cats in the band was all like, damn, this the dude that's supposed to be able to play? Lord, save us. And then when I finished, Boo came over to me and said, man, you sad,
Right.
Damn. He said, we playing in Boston next week. Man, I was in Boston. So, but Valerie was playing. Valerie Pornamar was a regular trumpet player. I was still in school. And Valerie was always very nice to me. He knew I wanted his gig. But he was always very, then Boo formed a big band that summer with me and Branford and Kevin and Robin Eubanks.
Right.
And, we went on the road. And so then I was able to start learning how to play.
So that big band happened before you joined
Yeah, that was 1980.
No kidding. Oh, wow.
That was the summer of 1980. And Boo took us all on the road. We was country, man. We didn't.
The last thing I want to ask you before we listen to the band play another song is why did education, I kind of know the answer, but I'd like to hear you elucidate on this a little bit. Is like, why did education become so important to you? I mean, you started, Jazz and Lincoln Center has become this iconic figure in the jazz world and in the arts culture in general. But inside of that, you dedicate a lot of time to education. You started the essentially Ellington program. You now run the program at the Juilliard School. And how did education become so important for you?
Really, just from my mother and father first. My mama from the projects, so she's real smart.
Yeah.
And she was always about education, but she was always about substantive education. My mama, she so much she would say it was insightful. Like she would say, child, every year that passed, I understand just how profound slavery was. And my mom would also say, it's not a matter of do you get a degree. What's behind that degree?
Right.
Not a matter whether you sat up in a class. What are you being taught, child? Sometimes I go recount stuff that's in a history class or something, and she say, why they got some people on the plantation smiling? Or why she was very much about the fact that you get something. You know what that degree says? She would be talking about something she saw. Do you know what that degree is telling that man? I am a fool. So she was a person that was very much like, in terms of, I talk about my father all the time because he was the musician, but in terms of kind of an in-depth philosophical understanding of human beings and of the United States of America as a country and of its possibility, without bitterness, but very, very clear-eyed. It was always for me, my mother. And she would always say those things like, we're looking at the Super Bowl. My mother has dementia now, but she's still very clear. We looked at the Super Bowl, and Beyonce came on at halftime, and my mom was looking at it. And my mom was like a feminist in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Okay, so she ain't discovering the fact she's a woman. She said, what you think about Beyonce? I said, you know, Mom, I've never been a big pop person. Like, even when I was in high school, I'm reluctant about it. I don't get all behind it. I don't really care about that. She said, child, that girl is up there with her coochie all in the screen. And then, okay, like that's a kind of typical observation that's a typical observation any older person would make. Okay,
Right,
it's not, I mean,
right.
anybody who grew up in an era where you didn't have the kind of pornography that's normal to us now, you're going to look at it and think, damn, is this? Then she said, this is the classic kind of Dolores line. She said, and all draped in the flag of feminism. See, that's my mama. So it ain't, she going to just tell you some kind of mother with Aunt Jemima type shit. I used to always tell people when they came in my house, look, man, don't think you meeting Aunt Jemima. When my mama tell you something, if she say sit down, sit down.
Yeah.
Because she will cuss you out. And she will get in the street and fight dudes. Now, she is not a joke. She ain't somebody to play with. And sometimes they would think I was joking.
Yeah.
But when they left, they'd be like, ooh, ooh.
Well, think about it. I mean,
we got a clear
I think
now.
about the fact that your parents had 6 boys, all boys.
And we were scared up in there, too. Let me explain that to you, how my house was. We were afraid up in there. Now people turn up loud music and do all of that. You didn't do all that in Dolores' house.
Wow.
And you better...
That's a lot of testosterone in one house.
Wasn't only one person had testosterone. She did not play. I'm telling you, I could write a book on her. One day we eat spaghetti a lot. Sometimes we go low on money. I hate spaghetti.
Right.
Man, I came in one night, I was insensitive to the situation at hand. So my mama was cooking. I said, man, what we got, spaghetti again? And she had a look, she wasn't in the mood for that. But I didn't interpret. So I sat down, I started sitting down, and spaghetti came out. I was like, damn, spaghetti. I'm talking under my breath. My mama's like, is something wrong with the food? And I'm still insensitive, man.
Right,
for some reason, it's stupidity.
You young and dumb.
Yeah, but I grew up under, I understand. I'm 16, I'm not like 12.
Right.
You don't like the food, King? She started calling me King. Then she comes over to the table to pick the plate up like she's going to take it back. Well, what's wrong with the food, Jesus? She started, the king doesn't like the food. Then boom, she dumped a whole plate of spaghetti in my afro, which I had a big proud afro. So I was just sitting there with the spaghetti, just absorbing it, and she said, every king must have a crown.
Mama Dolores.
She was for real. And she was like that with dudes in the street, too.
I believe
They
it.
didn't play with her. They said, boy, don't mess with her.
Mama's deep. I'm so sad because I wish we could stay here and talk all night because we haven't even scratched the surface. I wish we can go back and tell some personal. Well, maybe I don't wish we could tell some more personal stories. No. That's later. That's the HBO special. In the meantime, we could turn our chairs over this way because we're going to turn it over to the band. We're going to join them momentarily, but you guys are going to play something first before Wynton and I come and join. Symphony and Riffs. Yeah. Julius Tolentino in the Jazz House Big Band, ladies and gentlemen.
Just keep it up there. I'm not going to play with it. Thank you.
Everybody. These guys are something else. Mr. Tolentino, sir, I believe this is where Mr. Marsalis and I join you, right?
That's great, fantastic. Julius, unbelievable.
Isn't he
job.
something, Mr. Julius
Great.
Tolentino?
Fantastic.
You know, real quick, while they're getting set up for this next song, goodness. One last quick question. Congratulations on making jazz in Lincoln Center what it has become, such a cultural force. And right around the time we met, or right around the time we actually started to be able to spend some significant time together in the late 80s, I just remember you were doing all these gigs at Alice Tully Hall, and then Avery Fisher Hall, and then it just started to morph into this thing, and now it's what it is. How did that happen? Like, how did the whole tie into Lincoln Center first start?
Well, it was the first lady that called me was Alina Bloomgarden, worked in visitor services, and she had worked with Barry Harris. And she liked the integration, the integrated aspect of it, black and white people, people of different ages. She asked me if I could do 3 gigs for free. I said, yeah, I was doing 200 and something gigs a year at that time, or 3 gigs. Yeah, no problem.
And what year was this?
1987. You know, no problem. I'll do the gigs. And then we did the gigs, and it was okay. I met some other people, community. Gordon Davis was the Parks Commissioner. And, you know, then I started to meet other people who were part of the committee to see if we could bring jazz to Lincoln Center. Now, I really liked those people. They weren't musicians. Jack was a developer. Ahmed Erdogan, Hugh Ferris had worked in a bank. And all of a sudden, I'm meeting like people who were not in our, and every one of them were just soulful. And I was thinking, these people are going to dedicate their time for jazz and give some money and time. I never heard of nothing like that. So I was just fascinated by the whole, because I didn't, even though I had gone to Juilliard, I didn't understand how donors and sponsors, I didn't understand any of that. So we didn't have that kind of stuff in New Orleans. I mean, it just was outside of what I knew about. Then I started to go on meetings and stuff. And the next year we did Duke Ellington's music, and we got really bad reviews about it. And the one thing I knew is when you get bad reviews, you're doing something good.
Right.
And I said, you know, next year we need to do 2 nights of this. And we did twice that. And the people in the community got around it, you know. And I think that just, we all started to get around and work with each other. And for me, I'm more of an integrationist. It's interesting, I grew up in integration time. I know we have trouble as a country with integration. So I'm a person whose natural personality is to integrate. Like, I play solos. I don't mind sitting in the trumpet section. I don't mind playing fourth trumpet. I don't mind another person. I don't mind you standing up playing and being great. It doesn't bother me, another person. I feel like the more of us really do something, the more synergy we have. So I was able to really work really well with a lot of really great people, and I was fortunate to be put in a position where I could work with unbelievably great people from all aspects of life. And it extends even down to Julius and our young people and you. I mean, for me, I feel it's uplifting for me just to hear y'all playing Benny Carter's music. I think if Benny Carter was alive to hear this, he would lose his mind over how good they just played.
Yeah. Well, you know, the same attributes that you described, the you know, Hugh Fears and Gordon Davis, all the people you just talked about, the reason why you like being around them, you said they were soulful and they dedicated all their time and their money for jazz. He just described you guys as well. So
it's important. It's really important.
Thank you. You know, thank you for supporting Jazz House Kids. And,
I want to say one thing to everybody who supports. It's important to let people know that you support. So when I went to Tanglewood, I had a scholarship. I never wrote a letter to the person who gave me the scholarship because I didn't know it was a person. I thought it was a them. This maybe 8 years later, I was playing something with the Boston Symphony. A guy came backstage. He said, "You know who I am?" I said, "No." He said, "I'm the guy who paid for you to go to Tanglewood. You never wrote me a letter." He was kind of joking, but you know, he was
read in between the lines.
He was funny, but he had a kind of ebullient personality. He said, you never wrote me a letter. I said, you want me to write you one now? So we stayed, but he came to me in a joking way, but it hit me because I didn't understand.
Right.
So I try to tell all of our sponsors, and sometimes our board members, they don't want to get on stage, or I don't want to be. I said, get on stage, because some of these young people are going to be philanthropists. Some of them are going to contribute to stuff. They're not just going to all play music. So it's important for them to understand there's a community of people, because I honestly did not know that people gave money to stuff.
Right.
And it's very, very important what you do, and it's important to be seen. It doesn't mean you sticking your chest out. You're giving kids and younger people an understanding of the ecosystem that it takes to produce healthier kids and a healthier environment. And they need to know that and see you and feel you in your presence.
Well, let's do some St. Louis blues. Is that what we're doing, Mr. T? All right. And we have a special guest coming to join us on this one, right? Here, talking to my Jackie.
Please welcome Claudia Nikitia, our wonderful vocalist.
Yeah.
Sun go down. Oh, I hate to see that evening sun go down. 'Cause my baby, he's done left this town. If I'm feeling tomorrow like I feel today, see, if I'm feeling tomorrow like I feel today, I'll pack my trunk, make my getaway. St. Louis woman, with our diamond ring, pulls my man around by her apron string. If she didn't have a Cadillac and a great big pot of gold, that man of mine wouldn't have been so bold. The one she stole. Blues, 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 the St. Louis blues. That hard rock casted in the sea, or else he wouldn't have gotten so far away from me.
Tolentino. And sitting in, Wynton Marsalis. And Kristen McBride. Tremendous. Wow. Wow. Swinging. That was the last number at the 21st annual Essentially Ellington, St. Louis Blues. And we've got a little something for Julius Tolentino. Come on up here, Julius.
Mr. T.
You know, not only has Julius brought our band to the big house with Wynton and Essentially Ellington for 3 years, but he's also brought the band of Newark Academy. And so we're just going to give you a little token. And, you know, I loved what you said. You said something, you know, a couple of weeks ago about just what it takes to really get what you heard and what you felt, you know, out of that.
Congratulations.
Keep those hands going as we recognize the tremendous work. And our graduating seniors, could you please stand up? No. 2016, 16 graduating seniors.
Kyle Elgarden on the trumpet, Jacob Carisco on the bass trombone, Michael Leone on the drums, Donovan Marshall on the drums, Tim Murphy on the tenor saxophone, Andrew Wagner, lead trumpet, Wes Whitelock on the guitar. Put your hands together for our seniors.
Alex Lorenzi, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you all. Every year, I just get teary-eyed. Jazz House Kids has graduated. Those students studying at the Jazz House, 100% have gone on to college. Over $1 million in student merit and scholarship have been granted. So we're going to close this number. If it couldn't get any better, it will right now.
Oh.
Because we have a special, special treat in store for you. I think that's it. We're going to bring on the stage some of our alums. Can we bring them out? All right, where are they? All right, hold on, let me go get them.
I don't see anybody back there. I think we better start this without them.
Can I get
Oh my goodness.
Zach Edelman from Michigan State, Birsa Chatterjee from Oberlin Conservatory, Patrick Dudasek from Sunny Purchase, Patrick Peters from Oberlin Conservatory, Theo Valentino from the Manhattan School of Music, Liam Warner from Temple University, Zoe Abadia from Juilliard. What a swinging night it has been. The Jazz House Big Band, the Dynasty Big Band, Blues and Roots, Linda Moody, the James Moody Scholarship, Iris Berkeley, our musician of distinction winners, our wonderful producers, Eileen Bernstein, Sandy Bondarowski, thank you out there for doing your live digital media for our internet friends. Adriana Gibson from Gibson Entertainment. I'd like to thank Lori Montague and Neil Day for leading our tremendous event this year. Our events committee, our dedicated staff, they are great and they are wonderful and do such a good job. Our many volunteers, our esteemed board of directors who walk by me every single day of the week, led by Fred Smagorinsky right there, making it possible. TD Bank, Manhattan Mechanical Contractors, Cool Wind Ventilation, JT Megan, and so many of the friends who helped us launch the Music and Education Fund. Please give yourselves a round. I think you will hear on this last tune why we say when you build a jazz house, you build a child's future. Thank you so very much. Come on out, you guys. And come on to the stage, our alums. All right, let's go. What are we doing? Where is our... We'll bring him back one more time. And can we get the biggest round of applause, as Wynton would say, from the bottom of your heart for, I want to first say, where's Wynton? Wynton's around here. Wynton, because Jazz House Kids really walks in his footsteps of what he has built for jazz at Lincoln Center and around the world. I look to this organization. I look to his work daily for our organization. So I want to thank our special guest, Wynton Marsalis. And I couldn't do without my partner, Mr. Christian McBride. Let's give him a round. All of our students from the Dynasty, Blues and Roots. Thank you so very much. Jazz House Kids. Been a wonderful 9th annual Inside the Jazz Note. Wynton, thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Shall we take a bow? All right.
Porky Pig said, that's all, folks. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this evening. Please get home safely. Melissa Walker, Wynton Marsalis, Julius Tolentino, the Jazz House Big Band. Thank you very much.